Jamie and his family were getting ready to return to Nazareth, so he went round to Adam and Evie's house with some wooden toys Joseph had helped him make for them. Evie's gift was a lamb, which Jamie hoped might persuade her to put the real thing down. But she quickly hit on carrying the alive and breathing lamb in her arms and the wooden one in her teeth. While they were sitting on the doorstep chatting, they noticed a dust cloud just outside Bethlehem. It was a large cloud, bigger than ordinary travellers would make. A flock of sheep might make such a stir in the air, but the children would have heard bleating. It drew closer, yet still they couldn't make out much, just tall shapes swaying slowly and gracefully. It was a cloud filled with suspense, a tantalizing cloud. The kind of cloud authors and filmmakers love to use in an attempt to whip you up in a frenzy of curiosity, just like I'm trying to do now, before the mist clears and you finally see the monster or the alien or the Edwardian gentleman from the Railway Children, and Bobby shouts, "Oh, my daddy, my daddy!" Or indeed, the line of camels being ridden by the most dignified, stately, cultured, wealthy, exotic, and mind-bogglingly impressive men you could ever imagine. Because yes, that is who it was. Camels! These tall beasts with intriguing humps, looking down their thin noses with a permanent sneer, were so outside Jamie's experience he was nearly as astounded as when he saw the angels. And these men, covered in jewels and bright silks, far more noble than King Herod. Who could they be? And why would they visit a sheep settlement like Bethlehem? Jamie gasped, leaping to his feet. Why else would kingly people come but to see the King of Kings? Camels had not been on the list. Greeting wealthy foreign dignitaries had not been on the list. Jamie, Joseph and Mary may have carefully crossed off everything they thought was necessary before they left Bethlehem, but God had one more item on the agenda. The camel train entered the main street, and the imposing leader of the parade stopped and called to the children. "Hail! We seek him who is born King of the Jews. We have seen his star in the east, and are come hither, eagerly desirous to worship him with reverence and awe." "And awe what?" whispered Adam, but Jamie was too excited to explain. "He's a lovely little lamb," Evie tried to tell the man, but with the toy in her mouth it came out garbled. The stranger gazed blankly at her, thinking this must be one of the few languages he had not yet learned. It would have been Jamie's perfect chance to tell his story, bigging himself up to important people about how he was practically a prince and had been chosen to be brother of the king's king. But he was so overwhelmed by the dazzling newcomers, all he came out with was, "I'll take you to him." Arguably the most sensible thing he could have said, then or at any time over the next 30-odd years. He led them to the inn that wasn't a proper hotel and watched them dismount. The men brushed dust from their robes and smoothed their hair, regarding the house with interest. "Not a royal palace," observed one. "An humble dwelling." "It is fitting, perhaps," said another. "The God of Belteshazzar, who did lead us here and who is forever to be praised, has graciously presenced his chosen one among common persons. His wisdom is not like unto our wisdom." They all nodded, making noises like a cow. Jamie only understood what they were saying enough to grasp vaguely that they had called him common, but he was in no fit state to object. Staring at their silks and jewels, and smelling the fine fragrance that wafted from them, he felt quite grubby. He became painfully aware that his tunic had not been washed since the last time he had used his sleeve as a hanky. One of them beckoned a boy, following on foot with a long stick to prod the camels in the right direction. He was tall and handsome, and seemed a very big boy to Jamie, nearly twice his age. Although he was carrying out a servant's task, he was dressed nearly as richly as the men, and looked as if he knew and cared about the difference between his sleeve and his handkerchief when it came to blowing his nose. The boy opened a saddlebag and produced an intricate casket made of pure gold, a carved alabaster box of the kind used to hold perfumed incense, and another of black marble. The men took the beautiful containers, each a work of art, and looked at each other, overwhelmed by the importance of the moment. Then they nodded to Jamie, who moved shakily to the door and opened it. As he slipped into the dimness of the inn's main room, he saw that Mary was sitting with Jesus on her lap, singing softly to him. Jamie cleared his throat. Another great opportunity for a speech that would be remembered down the ages, but all he could say was, "Some visitors?" Joseph came and stood by Mary, both wondering who might have been drawn to see the child this time. Jamie stepped aside to allow the strangers in, and they moved as one towards the little family. The innkeeper's mouth fell open when she saw them, but Mary and Joseph smiled at them with the same quiet, unsurprised joy as when they greeted the shepherds. The men knelt and placed the elaborate, costly items on the floor in front of Jesus. Were they giving them to him? Then each of them laid face down, completely flat, with their arms stretched out towards him. Jamie saw through the open door that out in the dusty street, the boy was doing the same. One of the camels made a snort of protest. The boy leapt up guiltily, and the innkeeper also sprang to life, going out to him. Jamie followed. There were so many questions he wanted to ask this boy who behaved like a servant, yet looked like a prince. "Sorry, so sorry, dear. You'll want to feed and water your camels," said the innkeeper, obviously as unused to such beasts as Jamie was. "See that old tower there? Pop them in there. Oh, wait a minute, let me get you some more hay." The boy bowed to Jamie, and Jamie bowed back, a little surprised at the formality. "Hello," he said. "Are you kings?" "My masters are the Magi, learned ones, from Babylon the Great far to the east. I myself am an apprentice magus. They train me in the knowledge of the ages." "Oh," said Jamie, considerably more nervous. "I'm a carpenter myself. My name's Jamie." "My name is Ahura Zaramana Asha Huraoda Bagahada Putha," said the apprentice magus. Jamie looked at him, the cogs of his brain whirring, trying to catch hold of a sound he might have a chance of reproducing. "Translated into the Greek, that is Sopho Melitimeno Polykolos Omopho Ekpliktika Psilo Theodoropoulos," said the apprentice magus. Jamie's mouth opened and closed a few times, but nothing came out. "So you can call me Theo?" said Theo. "Oh, hello, Theo," said Jamie, brightening. "Welcome to Bethlehem." "Bethlehem, house of bread," Theo translated, his perfect Hebrew beautifully pronounced. He looked around with keen appreciation, and likewise known as Ephrat, I am told. He wasn't showing off. Having the Magi teach him all the knowledge of the ages, day in, day out, seemed to have made him think such learning was natural. The donkey and the innkeeper's animals were startled as the camels entered, not sure if they approved or not, and hesitant to make eye contact. The camels looked down on the domestic animals with pity, aware of their own glamour. As the boys filled the feeding trough for them, it brought back a flood of memories for Jamie. He told Theo that the baby they had travelled so far to see had been born right here, and that this manger had been his first bed. Theo laid his hand on the crumbling wall in awe. Yet thou, Bethlehem Ephrat, notwithstanding, that thou art entirely teeny-weeny. Jamie was a little thrown at his choice of words. Theo spoke Jamie's language superbly, better than Jamie himself, although in such a strangely old-fashioned way. But clearly his vocabulary had sometimes been picked up from odd sources. I did devour his text last night abed, and yet I understood it not till now, mused Theo. We had only been informed but yestereve of Micah's prophecy that led us here this day, so naturally I wished to search the scriptures for myself. Naturally, agreed Jamie, thinking that nothing would persuade him to pick a Hebrew scroll as some light bedtime reading. But why ever did you come? How did you know? What brought you here? A star, Theo replied.